We are just a week away from Christmas. Next Sunday, this time, it's Christmas. And the scripture readings that we have today help us to intensify our preparation for Christmas. The scripture readings that we have today tell us stories. And there are three stories I want to focus on, and finally, it'll lead us to think about the story of our own life. So let's talk about these stories. So you have in today's first reading, the king Ahaz. He was the king of Judah, which was the southern kingdom of the people of God. The northern kingdom was known as Israel. Now at that point, the Assyrians were becoming a very powerful empire, and Ahaz was afraid that he would be destroyed. Judah would be destroyed by them. Now, Isaiah tells Ahaz not to do anything politically, but simply trust in the Lord. Because Ahaz either wanted to make an alliance with the Assyrians or join the other smaller kingdoms, particularly Damascus and Israel, which is the northern kingdom of the people of God, and somehow find a way to survive. And Isaiah asks Ahaz to ask for a sign. Ahaz refuses. Not because he does not want to test the Lord, but he really didn't want to trust anything that was intangible. He would rather make an alliance than trust with the Lord. In any case, the Lord still gives him a sign. He says, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, right? And that son would bring redemption. So then you have the story of Joseph. Now, Joseph had an equally difficult conundrum to face, which is that his fiancée, Mary, was found with child. He also had to decide what to do. Now, scripture calls him a just man, and he thought that without doing any harm to Mary, that he would just divorce her. But you see, just like Isaiah spoke to Ahaz, an angel spoke to Joseph. The difference lies right there. Ahaz could not get himself to believe in the fidelity of God, whereas Joseph does. As today's scripture says, Joseph took Mary and brought her home to his house. And then, of course, you have Mary. Mary was the one who was also approached by an angel. And the promise that was made to Mary was that she would conceive and bear a son. Now, how hard do you think it is for a teenager to believe that she's pregnant when she's led the most holy and righteous life? Well, she does. And what she says is this: I am the handmaid of the Lord, may it done to me according to your word. So you have these three stories, and these stories come together to make the greatest story of them all. The Christmas story, the story of the incarnation of Jesus, the story of the coming of the Messiah. So that's on one side. Now, what shall we do with these stories? And that's the question. Now, if you look into our lives, you will probably realize that Ahaz and Joseph and Mary probably coexist in us. So if I look at my own life, there are times when I'm like Ahaz. I would rather rely on myself and those things that are tangible than to sometimes trust the Lord. And on the other hand, I surprise myself of how easily I trust in God, like Joseph and Mary did. So here's the deal, folks. The Christmas story is a story of human redemption, human salvation, but that story is not over. There were protagonists in that story. There was Ahaz, there was Isaiah, there was Joseph, there was Mary, but salvation history is not done. Salvation history continues to be written. And you know what? You and I have a part to play. We are protagonists of that story in today's time and day. And so I guess the question we want to ask ourselves is, when the story of our life is written, what would that story read like? Would it read more like Ahaz, or would it read more like Joseph and Mary? The point is, no matter how the story of our life is written, is totally up to us. In a week, think about this, and let's prepare intensely for the coming of Jesus.